Making Gary laugh. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Great to be with you. Thanks for tuning in today. Hope you're having a good day wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show and whatever you may be doing. There are a lot of people on the planet, Gary, that are psychotic. You know that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Those and those love bugs that are attacking every front of vehicle in Florida right now.
Love bugs. They make your car a mess. Hope you're having a good day, as I said, and everything is, people ask me, how are you doing? I say, I'm fine. And then the tagline is, all things considered. That's the truth, isn't it? Isn't that the truth? How you doing? I'm fine. All things considered.
In perspective, right? Everything's in perspective.
Right. If you're 5 or 6 years old and you don't have a care in the world, there's no things to consider except annoy your parents and, get what you want. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Quality of life, right? We're all searching. That's the Holy Grail in the world of health. Staying healthy, living a long life with quality of life. That just rolls off the tongue so easily. How do you get that done? How do you get that done? It's like starting a nation. It takes a tremendous amount of work. Commitment. I was talking to Gary before coming on air about commitment and certain things you do in life, certain projects or whatever you're trying to do, goals. Commitment it has to be there. And with your health, there has to be a commitment that you're going to work at it. You're going to do things. You're consciously going to have to do things that, you make it part of your day-to-day life. Now, other than just getting up every day, and then move through the day and your health is not even on your mind. Well, sooner or later, you can pay me now, that old transmission commercial. You can pay me now or you can pay me later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's better to be conscious of that and work at it. So when it comes time for a payment, you can make the payment. You got enough residual health, enough inventory of health to make a payment. That's what I talk about when I say preparation. I was talking with a neighbor about this last night. And he said, you got to be prepared. And I said, funny you should say that. So you take care of your health and you build up an inventory of health because at some point you're going to have to make a payment, meaning you're going to be facing some health challenge. And are you prepared? Did you build up enough inventory of health to do that? You got to make a commitment to that. Trying to pull this all together. And, you have to think this through, conceptualize it, and then you make a plan and then work your plan. Plan your work your plan. So prevention is one thing. Preparation is another. Prevention, you're trying to stave things off. You're doing things to stay healthy. I get that. Preparation is you're in a different mindset. You say, okay, my mind is, I got to be thinking about the future. It's interesting. People will prepare their documents for the time when the time comes, if you follow my meaning. They get their will in order. They have, funeral arrangements all made out and ready to go. So family doesn't have to deal with that. There's all kind of things that people do to prepare that way. But they're not preparing for the actual event of being sick or having you're either going to die of an accident or an illness. One or the other. In either event, you got to be prepared. And not just be, because you want to be able to wage the battle, whatever befalls you. And as I always say, the other variable floating around in the ether is randomness. And you don't know, you don't know what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. So that's what we have to deal with. Better to talk about it than to ignore it. I think it's put it on the table and let's deal with it. How I see it. Gary's going to tell you how you could call and tell me how you see it.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK. Dr. Garko's personal email is drgarko@letstalknutrition.com. Follow us, like us, and share us on Facebook at Let's Talk Nutrition, on the Instagram at Let's Talk Nutrition, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Let's Talk Nutrition, where you get updates when we go on live, when we post new videos at Let's Talk Nutrition, where we have over 66,000 views and 1,100 videos. I have a question about what is the daily sodium intake an adult should have?
Good question.
The reason is I've been reading labels, and I'll run down the hall during break and show you something real quick. So,
somebody's concerned about sodium. Do they have a heart condition or high blood pressure?
No, but it's preventive.
It turns out that sodium is one of the three usual suspects at the nutritional crime scene. Salt, sugar, and fat. Those three in combination. And the food companies have figured out how to manipulate those three variables such that the food smells better to people, looks better, tastes better, better preserved, and profoundly more unhealthy. Right? It's called processed food. And there is some debate about what is the proper amount. Some estimates have some studies and some experts have claimed that at least 90% of people in the United States get too much sodium. Well, you can see why. When you look at the food labels and the fact panels, and you look at how much sodium, and you have to always remember per serving, how much sodium is in the food, you can understand that. The CDC reports that only about 10%, 9.5 or 9.6, I don't remember exactly, it's about 10% of U.S. adults limit their sodium intake to the recommended levels. And where all does that sodium come from? Well, some of it comes from your salt shaker. I use a little bit. An estimated 77% of sodium comes from processed or restaurant foods. And then people will add salt on top of it. Once in a while, I'll use garlic salt in my cooking. Once in a while, but there's no, at the dinner table or where I eat, there's no salt shaker there. No, I don't do that. When I come back, I'll give you, what the recommendations are. The average American gets about 3,400 milligrams of sodium a day. That's better than 3 grams a day. It's almost 3.5 grams of sodium a day. That's a lot. So when I come back, I'll give you the rundown about sodium and what the CDC and others say about it. and whatever you may be doing. Gary was asking about, somebody asked about how much sodium. According to the 2015-2020 dietary guidelines, it's recommended that Americans consume less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day as part of a healthy eating plan. It's reported in the literature that the vast majority of adults in the U.S. consume a hefty quantity of salt, almost 3.5 grams every day. When you consume too much salt, you put yourself at risk for certain conditions: high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke. It's nothing to fool around with. And it can add up quickly. You could have like a breakfast, a bowl of cereal with some skim milk. There's about 250 milligrams of sodium. For lunch, let's say you had a cup of soup and a turkey sandwich, roughly 2,200 grams. Dinner, you have a piece of pizza and salad with light dressing, that's 710. That adds up to 3,160 milligrams of sodium. When I read that little menu, it sounded rather benign, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So hand me that box. Did you eat this?
Yeah, because it was.
Okay.
Well,
So-
I was
So Gary bought an Atkins low-carb living farmhouse-style sausage scramble.
Yes, because I'm on the
Keto.
plan. Yes,
Okay. There's per serving. There's one serving size in here.
yes.
Okay. You just consumed, with that meal, 940 milligrams, almost a gram of sodium.
Right.
You almost reached your allotment. You're halfway there
Yeah, I'm halfway.
with one.
Well, the other one that was recommended to us, I looked at that one for the breakfast that they had, and it was 1,200, but it was 12 grams of carbohydrate. So, and I'm trying to keep under 20 grams of carbs per day
Mhm.
to stay in ketosis.
Now, there are different kinds of salt. I was trying to find my notes on that. Let's take a call, and I'll search and see if I can get. I have a nice set of notes about different types of salt, and Himalayan salt and black salt, and this. They're different, and these food companies, Gary, use different. People think there's only one kind of salt. They're so clever. They got hundreds and hundreds of thousands, maybe, of nutritionists, food scientists working for them, these companies.
Oof.
They have different kinds of salt that behave differently when combined with other with other foods and other chemicals, and they know what kind of salt to use, exactly how much. I mean, it's complicated. Rufino, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Doc, how you doing?
I'm good.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Oh, I could barely hear you. I don't look, I got connected correctly, but that's okay. I was calling you to see what you thought about the Himalayan salt and the black salt, but it seems like you are going to talk about it.
Well,
But
if
I
I can
did wanna
if I can
mention
find my
one quick
notes.
thing, look at Top Ramen. Don't even mention the ingredients that are in there. But this one little brick of the chicken Top Ramen is 1,820 milligrams of sodium.
Oh.
People don't realize. They think, oh, that's just a little brick of noodles. It's not going to have that. Oh, my gosh, you're killing yourself with this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny because this morning when I went to go buy breakfast, when I went to go get that, Rufino, I was in a store and there was a couple ahead of me that that probably had about 3 cases of it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, and it's easy to make. You throw it in water. It's done in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
You could eat it raw if you want.
And I was
And people think it's an easy way, but like Doc said, processed food. That is a processed food.
Mhm.
Not to mention what's in that noodle. That's not even a real noodle, to be honest. That's a whole nother show. But, the sodium levels, I don't think people realize how much sodium they're eating every day. They don't really
No.
think about it, Doc. They don't think it as a chemical or how it's processed anymore. And so I really wanted to get your viewpoint. I guess
Well,
you're going to be
you
doing that
got-
a little later about
no,
black salt
no,
and
it's okay.
Himalayan,
It's okay. You have different kinds of salt. You have the regular table salt. You got kosher salt. You have sea salt. You have fleur de sel, which in French, a salt. You have pink salt. You have Himalayan salt. You have Hawaiian red salt. I mean, it goes on and on. There's even more. The list is long.
Mhm.
And some people swear by the Himalayan salt. They
Mhm.
and then of course there's kosher salt. I know that Dr. Bird, when she's here, she always talks about Himalayan salt, Himalayan pink salt.
Yeah.
Of the different
And
types.
that's all I use at my house, Doc. I use a little Himalayan salt when I want salt. That's all I use. I don't use sometimes a little black salt, but I don't use the refined white salt anymore at all. And I really try to watch what's in the food when we
Yeah.
buy food. I don't try to eat anything out of a box and stuff. But I do use a little Himalayan salt, so that's why I was interested in your what you thought about it.
Those sweat rings, Doc. Why did I have those sweat rings?
Because I don't know what you were doing out there. Were you working on a tractor or something?
What's that?
Gary was asking me yesterday. He was outside working. I don't know what he was doing, and he had on his garment. He was perspiring so much. He had these white rings all around. And I'm saying, well, it's Florida. There's Celtic sea salt, by the way. There's Kala Namak salt. There is flake salt, black Hawaiian salt, red Hawaiian salt, smoked salt, pickling, like they call pickling salt. All these different salts. I'm not a salt expert. When I come back, I'll try to give you a little breakdown on Himalayan and why some consider it so good, and we'll take a call from Scott.
Don't be stressed.
Dominic Ostrander will be our guest today on Let's Talk Nutrition. I've been talking with Ruffino I've been talking about salt. Somebody wrote in and asked about salt, what should be the recommended dietary intake. It can be very controversial as to how much salt you should take. I had one professor who thought that the recommendations as set by the CDC and other government agencies was too low, and that we were too worried about salt intake. That was his take. And he was, we have a guest that's a fan of Himalayan salt. Ruffino's on the line. Ruffino, that Himalayan salt, do you sell it in your store? Ruffino? The Himalayan salt, we'll see if we can find them, it's pink. Its color ranges from off-white to deep pink, and it's rich in minerals, the Himalayan salt. It has about 84 natural minerals and elements that you will find in the human body. They use Himalayan salt in spa treatments, by the way. So is he there? I don't know what's going on. So I've used it. It's good. I like it. I've so many different salts. I'm not a big salt expert, so I don't know. Let's go to. Can I take a call? All right. Little issue there. So we'll have Scott. Who do I have? Ruffino. Do you sell Himalayan salt in your store?
I do, Doc. I have Himalayan green sea salt. We have kosher flake. We have Hawaiian black. We have bath salts. We have the Dead Sea salt for, not everything's for internal use, too. That's what people don't realize. Yes, I carry.
Which one do you?
Absolutely.
Which one is the best seller of the salts?
We got a really bad connection, Doc. I'm sorry.
Okay. Can you hear me? Which salt sells the best in your store?
Himalayan by far.
And what do people tell you about it and why it's so good? What do they say?
Well, full of minerals, not so much processed, full of minerals, and you're not getting any kind of. A lot of people just they consider it like more of a pure salt.
Yeah. Do you know where?
I sell a lot of the Hawaiian black salt too, because it's infused with the charcoal, so it's good for digestion, stuff like that too.
That's true.
So the Himalayan and the black Hawaiian salt are my two top sellers, really. But the Himalayan salt is I got it in shakers. You can buy it in bulk by the ounce here, any way you want it. I have it in a lot of different ways. And, of course, the Himalayan salt lamps. I sell a ton of those and I'm not sure how you feel about salt lamps, if, you believe in the theory and how they work and everything, but it does feel like they do improve air quality and soak up a lot of the bad stuff in the air. So a lot of people buy my Himalayan salt lamps also, which is just pure salt rocks.
I have one in my bathroom.
Do you?
Yeah.
I've never had one in the house. Do you know where Himalayan salt comes from? Do you have any idea?
Well, I'm guessing the Himalayas.
It's mined in the Punjab region of modern Pakistan.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And it has a pinkish tint to it because of it. You know why it's pink? Everybody thinks because, nature's just being pretty. No, it's because of mineral impurities. It's used as a food additive, as table salt. They use it for cooking and food presentation. They have the decorative lamps and spa treatments. It's used there. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing your story about salt and salt. And I just use a little bit of garlic salt in my cooking from time to time. That's about as complicated as I get. So
yeah.
By the way, how are you doing with your new stores? Ruffino.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said, how are you doing with your new stores?
My new stores are doing wonderful. Of course, I have Ada Zinc Health Store, and then just down the street we have Sweet Relief, the new hemp CBD store, and it's doing well. The dust is settled. We've talked before about all that dust has kind of been settling there, and it's actually getting busier and busier. We're doing a lot of promotion in the city, working with the city on events and stuff, and kind of getting the word out there. And just like when you have gentlemen up from Plus CBD and stuff, it's all about education. People don't understand what it is, so it's kind of taboo. So
Yeah.
when you tell people and explain to people how it works, what it does, and they kind of understand. So it's getting more popular.
Well,
stores
good.
Getting busier. So I
Good.
think we're making progress, Doc.
Wish you the best with that. Thanks for calling today, too, by the way.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, my friend.
Thank you. Dominique Ostrander is my guest. I'm going to bring her on. She's live. She's hot now, and I'm going to take a call and include her in the call because Scott's been waiting in Bradenton. Scott, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Thank you, Doctor. Let me take you off of speak. Listening while I work.
Yes.
Yesterday, I saw a report on our local Fox News Channel 13
Yes.
about the brain foods and recommendations in reference to Alzheimer's. And I don't know if you had seen it, but one of the things that I wondered about is they suggested not taking additional B or E vitamins in that. Most of the other recommendations are things that you have talked about, though.
They recommended not to take. Were there any minerals that they mentioned, or was it just vitamins?
I'm sorry. For some reason, you sound very distant. I can hardly hear you.
I don't know why. Do you know? Did they mention any minerals, or was it just vitamins that they talked about? We're having a technical issue.
I'm sorry. Let me call you back because I've got a very terrible connection. And
Okay. All right. Let's see if we can talk to Dominique. Dominique's gone.
They were doing line work yesterday here.
Okay.
So
What I got from Scott was that some recommendation not to take certain vitamins, and we'll have to wait. So we'll try to get him back, and we'll try to get Dominique back. We lost him. We lost everybody. We'll get into that and much more. It's live radio, man. This happens. You are listening to Let's Talk Nutrition. We're coast to coast and we're global. I'll take topics right on the fly. It doesn't, you can call, not to worry, like Scott did. And with Dominique, we'll have her on, and we'll get into a little bit of cardiovascular health. Maybe we haven't talked with her about that in a while, and we'll lay that out. All right, we'll get this organized, and we invite you to call 877-897-8255. You can message us on Facebook. We like that, and Gary's monitoring all the social media all the time, and we'll take your letters, emails, pigeon messages, whatever, leaflets, flyers. We'll do it all.
Feel tired, lethargic?
Dominique Ostrander. She's an educator for Jara Formulas. Let me bring her on. We'll get back to Scott. Hold on there, Scott, and I'll get Dominique involved in the call. Dominique, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on. Dominique?
Hello?
Hi. Hello. How you doing? Can you?
Hello, I can't hear anyone.
Okay. All right. So we're having a technical issue with that board. I don't know what's going on. So we'll get back to you. We'll try to figure it. Can you hear me now? No. All right. Yeah. I'm lost my train of thought. We are when I bring Dominique on, we'll talk about cardiovascular health. I don't know if Scott can hear me or not, but he was mentioning Alzheimer's disease, and he had, if I understood his question, he was mentioning he had listened to
Dr.
Yeah.
Garko, I can barely hear you, so I'll go through this
Right.
and then listen to you afterwards commenting, because your voice dropped to about 20% of what it was.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, Channel 13 had a report on about heart health and brain nutrition yesterday, and they were specifically talking about dementia issues. And like you say about exercise and diet, going with the Mediterranean diet, brain exercising, social interaction, treat whatever depression, manage your blood pressure, sugar, cholesterol, and weight, all were things that you had talked about. And they also, like you talked about, keep your caloric intake of fats down to less than 30% of your total calories, free sugar or added sugar, as they called it, less than 10%. They recommended only 1 teaspoon of salt added per day, and limiting alcohol. But the part that I questioned was they recommended not taking any additional vitamins B or E and fish oil unless you were deficient, because they said there has been they've been unable to prove any link on those.
Yeah, in other words,
So I'm going to
Okay.
listen to you on the radio
okay.
for your answer.
All right. So vitamin B, vitamin 12, B12, fish, omega-3s, and vitamin E. They were talking about perhaps not taking it because it shows no benefit. Now, there is some mixed findings relative to those compounds. There are studies that have not long ago came out about omega-3 fatty acids not making any contribution or preventing Alzheimer's. Listen, the truth be told, I don't think that there's any particular vitamin, mineral, any sort of nutrient that is going to prevent Alzheimer's. It's reported in the literature, that being said, that vitamin B12, for example, helps to maintain healthy nerve cells and red blood cells, and a B12 deficiency can cause, memory loss, for example. Now, memory loss is one thing. Alzheimer's is a totally different thing. That disease is very perplexing and very complicated. And there's a lot in the literature, Scott, you're going to find from time to time, more than from time to time, quite frequently, discrepancies and differences as to whether any particular micronutrient, that would be vitamin or mineral, is going to make a contribution or not. And the studies go back and forth. That's a function of different things. It's a function of poor studies, poorly designed studies. It's a function of a lack of theory to drive the studies. It's, it's just that way. And, you would like it to be nice and clean. You say, well, science is science. They do a study. You should be done. We're done here. That doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. In the literature, they talk about vitamin B, the certain vitamins that you take. And the ones that you mentioned, and the fish oil, for example, and the E and the B12 are mentioned in the literature as perhaps by some serving a benefit. On that show that you heard, they say, it really doesn't. Well, I don't even know how to respond to that other than to say that if you suffer from Alzheimer's, you certainly follow your doctor's orders and prescription as to what to do. But if they're saying that those nutrients exacerbate Alzheimer's, I never heard that before. They might be saying that it doesn't help Alzheimer's. I have heard that before. And again, there are other studies that would tell you otherwise, or other theoreticians researchers that say otherwise. So that's just the nature of it. I wish I could give a clean answer. So let me see if we can make contact with Dominique. And
there's a problem with the board. So
Okay.
just bear with us.
Okay. Technical problem.
Yes, it's nothing on the other side. It's the board itself. I know the question I have is, does Jarl make a product for memory and
Yeah, I think yes.
brain strength? So
There's a clinic here in Tampa called the Bird Institute, and they study Alzheimer's.
really,
And we've had them on a show years ago. And they look at caffeine as protective and helpful with Alzheimer's.
really,
Yeah. So
Is that Bird with a Y or a Y?
Y, BYRD, Bird Clinic. The Bird. During this break, I will get you the exact title and phone number. It's right here in Tampa, Florida. It's up on Fowler Avenue, near the University of South Florida. So we headed into a break. Where are we here today? 9:55. Some change. Okay. So we have a technical problem with the board today, and the engineer is back there trying to figure it out. Sorry about that. Apologize, and we'll get Dominique on. Scott asked, I know people are interested. Boy, sometimes you just can't give a definitive answer.
yeah. My grandmother has Alzheimer's, so I'm interested. I'm on the edge of my seat.
It's a horrible disease. It's horrible. You are listening to Let's Talk Nutrition. We're coast to coast and global. We come back. We'll feature today, I promise, Dominique Ostrander from Jarl Formulas. Be right back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you're having a good day wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. Dominique Ostrander is my guest today. Get her on. Scott had called about the Bird Institute and wanted to give him some information as to how he can find the Bird Institute.
The Bird Institute's located at 4001 East Fletcher Avenue. The phone number is 813-396-0606. And they also do clinical trials there, and they help with caregiver issues also. I didn't know that, Doc.
With what?
Caregiver issues. They help out with the caregivers, too.
Good. They're affiliated with the University of South Florida. We're in Tampa, Florida, and the Bird Institute's in Tampa, by the way. And that's Fletcher. It's Fletcher Avenue. And the phone number again?
Is 813-396-0606.
And they've done work with caffeine. By the way, it's kind of interesting how that works out. And coconut oil, and so they're very progressive there. They're always exploring. Alzheimer's is a perplexing, insidious disease, and there are probably more than a few people listening and watching who, unfortunately, may know someone, a loved one, a friend, or some coworker, perhaps, who has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. It's just horrible, and it's very difficult for the caregiver as well. As I said, Dominique Ostrander is my guest today. Dominique, welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Sorry for the technical problem. We had there was an issue with the board today, and the engineer fixed it. So that's why we couldn't hear you, or you couldn't hear me, or whatever. So welcome to the show.
Okay. Well, I'm here now.
Oh, you sound great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you for asking. How about you?
Doing all right, all things considered. Let me ask you, speaking of Alzheimer's, when you're out working in the stores, when you go and visit accounts, traveling around, and you certainly have your sample of interaction with owners of health stores, people that work in the stores, and the customers that come in, it's a pretty good sample, I think, a big sample. Anyway, does this particular health issue come up? Does Alzheimer's come up? Not too much?
Not often, no.
No.
Not often.
Not often.
No. I mean, memory, it's never referred, nobody ever really says Alzheimer's. It's more
That's interesting.
Preventative memory care that will come up on a sales floor
Mm-hmm.
versus somebody actually saying Alzheimer's. But I did want to comment on what Scott was, his original question.
Go ahead.
About taking B vitamins, avoiding B vitamins, and I think you said also vitamin E. And so there was, this is, let's see.
As well as omega-3s, fatty
Right,
acids.
so this is the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease. And so there was which I actually thought was really good. And they talked about folate, they talked about B vitamins, they talked about the difference, but they were evaluating in this particular publication, they were evaluating the epidemiologic evidence of these studies. And so they said, even while there is a general impression of strong epidemiologic evidence to support associations between the B vitamins, particularly folate, and cognitive decline, in actuality the evidence is weak. The impression may be driven by the numerous cross-sectional and case control studies that relate dietary or biochemical levels of the B vitamins to cognitive or disease status.
Mm-hmm.
A primary limitation of these types of studies is that one cannot determine whether the observed association is a cause or effect of the disease.
Hmm.
For example, both serum and dietary intake levels of folate have been reported to decline with prolonged institutionalization and duration of dementia. In addition, studies that use a one-time cognitive assessment cannot separate attained or lifetime cognitive ability from cognitive decline due to age or disease. So there's confounding bias here. And, you know, it's interesting when you really look at the evidence and the studies that have been done, it is all very confusing and contradictory. It really, when you spend the time reading about Alzheimer's and and we're trying very hard to find direct causal relationships and things like that, it becomes a very confusing mess.
It is. It is confusing. These diseases are very complicated, and my instinct tells me that there is no one single nutrient that's going to moderate the development of, or slow the progression of, or prevent Alzheimer's. We do know, there's such a genetic component to it, a strong genetic component, but there's also lifestyle component as well. Are there certain things that people do in day-to-day life with their diet and their lifestyle that would put them at risk for Alzheimer's? And what's the interaction between those variables and some genetic predisposition? It's complicated.
We're forgetting about dementia too, honestly. I think more people suffering with dementia.
Well, Alzheimer's is
somehow right. No. I'm talking about like we're talking about like where their short-term memory is next to nothing. Yeah. Long-term memory might still be at play, but short-term memory, what did I have for breakfast, kind of thing, is I think we're seeing so much more of that, and so consequently, we're focusing a lot more on Alzheimer's as a total, as a cumulative, as a whole disease, and we're not looking at these other things that might look like a full-blown Alzheimer's, but in fact are not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Alzheimer's is a form of dementia. And
right, no, that's what I'm saying, but we're not looking at it in terms of the other forms of dementia.
Right, I understand.
We're automatically assuming, like, hey, okay, this is Alzheimer's, as opposed to the other forms of dementia.
I understand. 877-897-8255, 877-897-TALK. Now that we brought this up, do you have in the repertoire of Jarrow products those that would be designed to help with cognitive function?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so maybe we can talk. Let's talk about that. I know that there's a couple that I'm aware of, and it would behoove us to know about those, and for people to consider in their particular case. Everybody's different, and you might want to. We'll get into that, and maybe a little cardiovascular health, and whatever else it might be on your mind. You can call and ask, and we'll try to answer your question and explore some resolution to perhaps something that's on your mind. Again, 877-897-TALK, and you can also send a message to us via Facebook. Before we go to message, what's the first product that comes to your mind from Jarrow that would be on your mind for cognitive functioning?
Neuro Optimizer.
All right.
Hands down.
Hands down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite familiar with that product. There's the cue, and we're headed into some messages. We're going to come back, and we'll talk a little bit. That product has been around a long time. I've used that product. I still use that product. It's a great product. Jarrow formulas, they do it right when they formulate these products. They just do. They do hefty doses of each nutrient. If there's more than one, they don't skimp on the dosages, and the right combinations, the right formulation for a particular product. They just do it right. I have a lot of confidence in Jarrow formulas. Visit Jarrow.com. We come back, we'll talk about Neuro Optimizer and among other things that are on the menu for today. LTN, coast to coast and globally. Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Great to be with you. I'm worn out here, man. Hope you're having a good day wherever, however you're listening or watching the show and whatever you may be doing. Got 8 pots and a 4-burner stove.
It's all about being professional, you know.
What's that?
Handling it professionally.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Got to keep moving the pots around so we don't burn something, overcook it, undercook it, whatever. We'll handle it. Dominique Ostrander is my guest. The issue of Alzheimer's came up, and there's an emergent quality to the show. We have certain things on our mind to do each day, but if something comes up and it's meritorious, I'm going to deal with it and talk about it. Dementia is one of those health issues that really, some people say they would rather die. And I've had these conversations with people. They would rather die than suffer from Alzheimer's or some other form of dementia.
In the building. We've had that discussion here in the building with somebody.
Absolutely. And they mean it. And you can tell, boy, it is one of those diseases that it just strips the dignity of a person away from them. And the family suffers along with them. And there are more than a few people listening and watching that have had to be a caregiver, and they know how difficult they end up with PTSD, some of them.
Yeah.
It's so difficult. So
I have a visual question real quick.
Okay, we'll get it. Let's get Dominique back. I want her, we'll take that visual question in a second. Dominique, welcome back. I'm sure you've had that conversation with people, too, about dementia and Alzheimer's and different forms of dementia. Some people have told me, right? I mean, and they say it so meaningfully, Dominique, I would rather die than suffer from that. Have you ever had that conversation with anybody?
Definitely.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, in fact, Doug, my husband, and I were talking about something similar to this a few days ago, about how a person going through that, you really do lose the essence of the person. Do you remember when Christopher Reeve was paralyzed?
Yes.
His wife was saying that he's still the same. His essence is there. Like, she knows that even though he can't speak and all this, his essence was still there. But the trauma of Alzheimer's is that the person's physical body is still there, but their essence, it's like everything about them is gone.
Yeah.
And that's what I think becomes so emotionally difficult, too.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of things that people do during their life relative to their diet and their lifestyle that can contribute to the onset of dementia, generally speaking. Alcohol abuse, smoking.
Alcoholism is huge.
Smoking, drugs, certain recreational drugs, certain pharmaceuticals, for that matter, I guess. I mean, there's a host of variables that put people at risk. And then, of course, there's the genetic component. But to take care of your brain during your lifetime, that's a CPU of your biological computer called your body.
Mm-hmm.
The Neuro Optimizer, I'm such a huge fan of that product. I don't know who formulated it. I don't know who that person or persons was.
No, actually, Michael, I think it was Michael Jacobs.
Was it Michael Jacobs?
I do. I think it was Michael Jacobs. I do. If I could be wrong, but I think he was definitely a contributor to its formulation.
And that was a while.
Dallas.
That was a while back. Oh, with Dallas Coulatra?
Mm-hmm. I think they were. I want to say both of them.
Dallas passed away recently, didn't he?
He did, unfortunately, yes.
He was on my show quite a few times, Dallas Coulatra.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of passing away, Doris Day died yesterday.
And Tim Conway.
Oh, she did?
Tim Conway died. Doris Day and Tim Conway. She was 90-something, 96 or something.
I want to say 98.
And then Tim Conway. That guy made me laugh. I mean, to the point where you have tears when he was with Carol Burnett, tears running down my face. I mean, with him. Right. You remember him, right?
Yeah, Mrs. Sewiggins. That was like my favorite skit ever. Oh my God, I love it.
97, Doris Day.
Wow.
Doris Day. As a boy growing up, going to the movies and seeing her in the movies, I mean, that was such an innocent time. My God, now, I mean, to think of where we are in this day and age and in modern society, back then, gosh, we were naive.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, Pillow Talk is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
You know who on? I know we're so off topic, but I don't care. Cary Grant.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Hell, I would dance with Cary Grant.
Right.
You know?
Meaning to the word suave.
Oh my God, he was.
Yeah.
I mean, he brought me so much inspiration. I thought, God, even as a boy, I said, intellectually, I didn't use the word elegant, but I knew he was special. And I said, God, is he cool or what? You know? Yeah. These are good things for our soul, right? It's part of health too. Having those kind of memories and those kind of people, that kind of talent. Cary Grant and Doris Day, and all those wonderful actors and actresses. Those days are gone. It's a different day. Good in some ways, and other ways I don't know. But we'll come back. I promise we'll talk about neurology. I'm sorry I drifted off like that. I couldn't help it. We'll be back with Dominic Ostrander. It's the nature of the show. It is organic. You got to give me that, right? We'll be back.
For sure.
Let's Talk Nutrition. Welcome back. Dominique Ostrander is my guest. Let's get right back to it. Dominique, the Neuro Optimizer. Let's talk about that and what's in it and what it's for.
Definitely. So it's actually, we formulated this for mature individuals that are concerned about mental and emotional health, given that cognitive and memory begins to decline actually before maturity. So it can also help with younger people. I know actually my daughter's taking it now as far as helping her in graduate school. And there's another friend of mine who's actually younger that's been on it and loving it for concentration also. So I really, it's for all age groups. I think it's not specifically for, mature, as we lovingly say that. But the most important thing about Neuro Optimizer is that it's actually a very synergistic combination for brain health, and it's probably the most comprehensive brain supplement that's sold today as far as that goes. It's CDP choline, and CDP choline is in it's Cognizin at 300 milligrams. So, and I'm saying this because the strengths can stand alone. So we have acetyl L-carnitine at 500 milligrams, L-glutamine 500 milligrams, taurine 500 milligrams, phosphatidylcholine 120 milligrams, phosphatidylserine at 100 milligrams, and alpha-lipoic acid at 50 milligrams. So, and again, I think when you're looking at this as far as its complete blend of everything, so we're really approaching brain health from all angles.
877-978.
In other words, we have a CDP choline on its own, we have glutamine on its own, we have alpha-lipoic acid on its own, acetyl L-carnitine on its own. We also have, we have phosphatidylcholine and phosphatidylserine. We have different brains. We have Brain Boost, Magmine, which is a magnesium threonate, and that's one of the only forms of magnesium that will cross the blood-brain barrier. So I don't know. I think that it depends on what's going on as far as, if it's concentration and focus, if it's memory, if it's, wanting to take something that will act prophylactically as well as presently, that I think Neuro Optimizer is the choice.
Yeah, do you have vinpocetine freestanding?
So we had vinpocetine standing. That's a good question, whether or not we still have it. Thank you for. I'll probably have to check on that one. But we used to have vinpocetine by itself. I don't know if we're still making that one by itself.
Yeah, I take that as well. That used to be by prescription years ago.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was used to prevent seizures.
Mm-hmm. So it's all good. It's just supplements are what they are, and what I always worry about is that we overrate them in terms of what they can and cannot do. And when people have a health issue and they're looking for an answer, sometimes they put a lot of faith in one thing, some therapy. And, it's the nature of human nature. I get it. Boy, I understand that, especially if it's a life-threatening illness or an illness or an accident, that you have an accident that your quality of life is just is a dumpster fire, and you're trying to improve things, and you're just hoping and praying that one thing or another is going to work, and I get that. So always try to keep in mind what supplements are. These do not raise Lazarus from the dead. Okay.
Right, exactly. And we do make a vinpocetine.
Okay.
5 milligrams vinpocetine.
Oh, I thought you said you're going to have a supplement for the Lazarus supplement.
Right, yeah, exactly. We do have one that raises you from the dead. No, but in all seriousness, that's where my frustration comes from probably the most.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I'm on a sales floor and you really get to talking to somebody and you come to find out that there's all kinds of lifestyle decisions that they're making, and it's not possible for any supplement to offset the deleterious effects of their lifestyle choices. In the same way that when we used to have obese patients hold a piece of cake while they were on the treadmill, to give them an idea that it's literally impossible to work off
that piece of cake. Yeah.
What they're taking in.
Yeah. I often use the metaphor. I say, sometimes we expect supplements to do. Let's say you have a raging forest fire, right? And it is just out of control, and you walk into it with a water pistol. And sometimes that's what a supplement is compared to trying to match it up against some insidious disease. And you're like trying to put out a forest fire with a water pistol, and it's never going to happen. Now, that's not to say, I was just during break here, I was looking at some studies looking at high dose vitamin C with cancer, because I need to respond to somebody about this, and there's mixed results about that. And it's back and forth. The literature is not clear. And that's just the nature of disease. That's the nature of therapies. Some things, and even with pharmaceuticals, you're dealing with side effect. It can be very complicated. So we try to sort through it. Neurooptimizer, what's its intent? Its intent is to help you maintain your cognitive function, to feed the brain those chemical compounds that serve it well and improve your little quality of life at this moment in time. Is it going to prevent Alzheimer's? Anybody would tell you that? Walk away, because they don't know what they're talking about. It's better to be reasonable than to give people false hope. We come back, we'll have the LTN health question of the day. And by the way, omega-3s are excellent for the brain. We can get Dominique to talk about the omega-3s from Jarrow too. LTN coast to coast and globally, where, just trying to be reasonable. Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Here's the LTN health question of the day, and we'll get to Brandon, Florida. I'll take a call from Connie here in one moment. I was talking with my guest today. We didn't plan to do this. We were going to talk about heart health, but that's okay. This is a meritorious topic. We were talking about Alzheimer's, and it's a terrible, horrible disease for sure. And both for the person suffering and those who suffer with the afflicted, the caregivers. Here's the question. Alzheimer's is ranked at what position as a leading cause of death in the United States? What's its position? Is it the fourth leading cause of death or the sixth leading cause of death in the U.S.? Alzheimer's is what? The fourth leading cause of death or the sixth leading cause of death? You have the right answer, you'll win a $25 supplement gift card.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK.
Here's Dominique, welcome back. Here's a startling or stunning statistic. Caregivers, those who are taking care of people with Alzheimer's, provide an estimated 18.5 billion hours of care. This is from the Alzheimer's Institute. Caregivers provide 18.5 billion hours of care at an estimated cost of $234 billion.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
More than 16 million Americans provide unpaid care for people with Alzheimer's or other dementias. 1 in 3 seniors dies with Alzheimer's or another dementia. It kills more than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined. Only 16% of seniors receive regular cognitive assessments during routine health checkups. You want to know why? You want to know why I think that is? That's called ageism.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The way we care for
I think that's pervasive along. I think that whole ageism, it's not just, it's like, oh, well, this is just, aging and getting older, and it's almost like the healthcare system gives up on you.
Yeah, they make attributions about the elderly that aren't necessarily true. Well, you're 75 years old. I'm not even going to ask you about your memory because, you're going to lose it anyhow, and you're losing it now.
Right. That's what I mean. Right. Exactly.
You just want to take a bucket of water and throw it on them, right? To get their attention and say, that's not true. Between 2000 and 2017, deaths from heart disease have decreased 9%, while deaths from Alzheimer's has increased, are you ready? 145%. These statistics are stunning.
That's shameful. Mm-hmm.
It is shameful.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's take a call from. We'll get to Gerard and let's go to Connie. She had a question about memory. Connie, welcome to the show.
Yes, I didn't get the name of the supplement that Dominic mentioned for the brain and all.
What's that? Say it again. I'm sorry.
The name of the supplement for the brain that Dominic mentioned.
Yes, it's Neuro Optimizer.
Neuro
Optimizer.
How do you spell that?
Neuro. Neuro.
Yeah.
Neuro Optimizer. 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 Neuro Optimizer.
What about Gotacola? I use
Gotacola?
memory. How good is that?
In the South they say Gotacola. Like Coca-Cola.
I know elephants, their diet, they have very good memories.
Yeah. Gotacola has been long-standing mentioned in the literature for cognitive function. You don't have Gotocola in Neuro Optimizer, do you?
No.
No.
What is that?
No, it's called Gotocola is good. What I would start with is the Neuro Optimizer. That's an all-around, all-purpose. I mean, that'll get that. That's something, that it's easy to do. And you start taking. I could tell you. I could give you. This is one of my areas of interest. I could list 25 different things you could take for your brain. At the end of the day, you won't do it because I won't even do it. I won't even do it because it's too much.
Too much.
Yeah. So I would do one thing, do it at least to start with, and do it well. I would do that That's my advice. But of course, you can. You're a pretty smart lady. You know what to do, and we always appreciate your calls, Connie, and your listenership. Let's go to Gerard.
I listen every day.
I know you do, and I'm
Thank
so.
you for your program. I appreciate you and different ones you have on to help us with our health.
It's our pleasure. Let's go to Gerard. Hi, Gerard. Nice to see that you're around and called the show.
Yeah, I'm still kicking, but not too high.
You're not a rocket. What's the answer? Is Alzheimer's the fourth leading cause of death or the sixth leading cause of death?
I'd say the fourth.
Well, the fourth is wrong, but I'll give you credit for the answer to be sixth. It's the sixth leading cause of death. That's okay. You're still a winner. And
a friend of mine, she just passed last week. She had Alzheimer's for 13 years.
Oh, that's too long. That's too long to suffer with that disease.
Exactly, and it tears up the family.
Yeah.
Upset because she didn't know any of them at the end.
Yeah. She didn't know anybody. Last night I had a quick conversation with a neighbor, and he told me his brother recently died from ALS, and they gave him several years to live. He died within several months, and his brother and I and the neighbors and I said at the same time, he's better off. Yeah, you don't want to suffer like that. Congratulations, Gerard, and thank you for calling. I'm glad to see that you're doing well. Dominique, thank you for coming on today and dealing with the technical difficulties and being able to adjust and adapt and deal with our mental health today, which was good. Jarrow Formulas, Neuro Optimizer, it's the best. Your health is your wealth, and your health is the wealth of those that care about and love you.